Yo, Crypto Nation and mining family. Crypto Nation and mining family. What's going on? Of course, like always, it's not financial advice. Yo, Crypto Nation and mining family. What's going on out there? So, today, got some interesting news for you. And then I've also got some new stuff that's coming into the mine. So if you guys don't follow me also on DCA Adventure, I did an unboxing on there with my man Crypto Mikkel for Mining After Dark that me and him do on Saturday nights live. So but we did an boxing just because I don't think that was the first one I did on that. I think for DCA Adventure, I think that was one of the first ones that I did, which got some new hardware. So the hardware that I did get was, you guys know that I have the FPGAs, and they're not mining right now. Why? Because I don't have a good enough setup for it. So after looking into immersion mining, which I still want to do, there's a lot of different variables in there after doing a lot of research on it. I could probably build one that's pretty budget. The only issue that I would foresee is if I didn't grab the proper material for everything, that the immersion fluid would start breaking it down and basically clogging pump up, or if I get the wrong pump, how long does it last, all that awesome stuff. And then I started looking into ones that were pre-built and stuff, and I was like, ooh, and I could test out a whole bunch of stuff in it because the containers are bigger, so bonus. But without any further ado, let's dig into what I have actually gotten. So the first thing is a RAM for mining. For the most part, unless you're doing some kind of wicked extreme overclocking, and in mining, you're not going to be hitting it like that. I'm just saying. So, some cheap RAM, enough to get everything going. 4 gigabyte would be minimum for a mining rig. But as you see, because of the FPGAs, I wanted to make sure I had enough headroom, and the kit was about the same for the 8 gig. So I might as well just grab it, it's not like I can't use it and it was cheap. So I got that, and then check it out. Bam. Got a motherboard. Yo, ROG Strix B450F Gaming. The board was actually reasonably priced on Newegg. I even got the CPU with this, so the CPU RAM in this was like $349. All I have, and I've got a power supply here to be able to run everything. So boom, I've got everything covered on my end for what I need. So this one, I got the, well, I'll let you guys take a guess. A few of you know. So the few of you that I've directly told, you're not allowed to guess. But everybody else, what CPU might I have gotten for it? This one goes 1st gen and 2nd gen. So, boom. Holler. And what I liked about this one, I'm just kind of thinking of why it was that I chose this. So one, I like AMD. I do have a few of my other boards. I could have gotten an i7 7700K and run Intel on one of my other boards, and it would have been fine. 7700K, 4 cores, probably would have ran my FPGAs just fine. So as I was looking for one, I started noticing that what the pricing was at, and I was like, you're kind of encroaching in on AMD territory with just grabbing everything brand new. So that's one. All of this is going to be brand spanky new for the motherboard, this, and my CPU. The other thing that I liked about this particular board, it's like, one, it does handle a second gen, so upgradable. Yo! So you don't have to go with the best chip to go onto this. That's always a plus when you're even more on a budget, and you can actually bring your price even further down. Boom. So it's got 216 X slots in here. That would be great if I was running 2 graphics cards. They're nicely spaced apart from each other, so you can run them with their fans, and they're not breathing. The one card still going to be breathing off the back of the other. I never liked actually stabbing 2 graphics cards on one motherboard. At that point, you might as well be water blocking. I'm just saying. But this one has 6 slots on it, so I can sit there and put, no problem, 6 FPGAs on here. Boom. That's one thing. It's got 2 M.2 ports on there, so I can actually they make adapters to go into there that you can put a by 1 slot in there, and I can actually hook up 8 FPGAs onto this one board. So when people sit there and tell you AMD doesn't make mining motherboards, I'm just saying. This would be it. Another thing that's really nice about this. Does this one have it too? Oh. This one is a little different than my other board. Huh. That's funny. I didn't even notice that. But I can actually hook in older keyboards in there. I've got some old keyboards that I use to hook up into these, so makes it much easier whenever I'm just hooking up keyboards. Just because I'm old school with some of it, I kind of hoard some of my equipment. But I'm actually kind of surprised that this doesn't have a dual BIOS on the motherboard. ASUS is good about giving you some options like that. It must be just because it's a little bit of an older generation that it's not giving it up on there. And then the other thing that I did like about it, and it's the reason why you can get away with running so many graphics cards, so many FPGAs on this. So right here is an HDMI. I was trying to make sure the light's getting on it. Awesome. So this is an HDMI port. Yo, I can hook a monitor right up to it. So that means this thing has got onboard graphics. So I can dedicate this to doing exactly what I'm going to do. That was the other thing that I did like about this board. And it's something that my board doesn't have. So I've got dual BIOS on my ASUS ROG, but mine's for the Threadripper, which gives you a little bit more options, I guess, because being a 1900X, the X usually signifies the enthusiast grade for a lot of purposes. So, bam. It's like Intel putting a K behind it. You're talking more of the enthusiast grade. So you're given a little bit more headroom. All right, so with hardware now out of the way, let's get into some of the juicy tidbits. Pick up this big bad boy. So, this here is a Bitmain E3 Antminer. This one is basically parts. I I can get part of it to fire back up, but yeah, it's hurt. This one's a hurt hashing boards on there. Well, I'm not really sure if it's hurt hashing boards because they hash. It's just something on the board is having an issue. One of them, and I can even show you here. Let me pull this middle one out because I had two of them that were hurt, okay? So the one board, this was actually out of the one that I have now running, testing away. It's been running for over an hour, coming up on the 2 hours. Absolutely no issues, which is amazing. So I never noticed it before. I pulled these apart once before to take a look on the inside what was going on with this, and I totally missed it the first round. Whenever I pulled it apart, because I just pulled it off to the side because I wasn't able to figure it out, and then it just kind of jumped at me. Probably will need to turn a little bit of a light on here just to kind of give it a little extra. Oh, that is hilarious. My green screen is absolutely messing with it. Let's see here if I can turn it off for just a brief moment. Let's see here. Video capture device. Properties. Oop. Not that one. Video capture device. Filters. There we go. Chroma key. And yeah, there we go. So now, yeah, there we go. Now it's not like messing with me. Let's see if it can do it. There we go. Let me turn down the light. So, right here, let me just switch hands. Seems to be that it's a little bit in the shadow. So right below my finger, man, this surface is really shiny. Oh, there we go. There we go. So right below my finger, you can see that it's all burnt. Right there. I didn't notice that at first, actually. So it was really kind of interesting that I just kind of happened to look down at it. Thank God all the backs of these boards are all the same. So that's what's... Ooh, this thing cut the heck out of me. Be careful, guys, when you're playing with the hardware directly. And no, this was before the you know what, I'm not going to make a bad joke, so I'm just going to cut you off right there. This was way before that. So, this one just needs to get repaired. And then this one should be a good board. A couple of the other hashing boards in the same unit, the hashing boards themselves will work for a while, and then it just kind of cuts out, out of the blue. I've put different control boards in here, same issue. So I know that I've probably got to take them apart and kind of root around and see if there's something on the hashing boards that I can repair. Otherwise, I've got one hashing board that the modules are fine on them, but the hashing boards, the big board that it sits on, is hurt. The other ones, it looks like the hashing, some of the hashing board modules are having an issues individually. So I hope it's something simple on that one. It's an issue that you have running ASICs no matter what you guys do. So There we go. So unfortunately, that is, some of the drawbacks of actually running ASICs is that they'll periodically die on you, just out of the blue. Nothing will be different. Nothing will happen anywhere else in your mining room or your mining facility. It'll be very isolated. Just then you'll be able to run some of them until the cows come home. 10 years later, you could still fire it up and it'll still hash, not a problem. Some are just built a little bit better that day than others. I don't know how they do their quality control over there. To know how they, like doing like a longevity test on it, So without knowing that, it's hard to say. Why am I bringing up these E3s? Well, these E3s mine that Ethereum Classic, and you guys know that I've mined Ethereum Classic a lot, right? So without any further ado, let's dig in to this little segment here. So if you check this out, here are a few of the algorithms that are on the Ethereum mineable blockchain, or their algorithm. Okay, so you got Ethereum Classic, Ethereum, Ubiq, and Expanse. There's a few other ones. But here's the thing. The E3s, they're basically GPUs. Okay, each one of those modules treated as a GPU. So this thing altogether gets 200 mega hash. I've got 8 RX 580s. It'll get 245 mega hash. Okay, to 248. Give or take. This doing 200 mega hash, it's, basically it's the equivalent of maybe 8 470s. Give or take. But I want to say over the weekend, the one ASIC that I did have, I started noticing had an issue. So I'm like, oh my god, my E3 just died. Oh my god, right? So I wasn't paying attention to any of the DAG files on anything or anything like that. But here, check this out. My man Crypto Mikkel, he's like, yeah, I heard about something like that happening over the weekend. And they were like right around the 21st. And I'm like, huh, really? That's just funny. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because I started having the same issue. Out of nowhere, I went to go look at my rigs on Poolside. Just a little quick, let me see how they're doing. Make sure they're connected and still alive. I see the Antminer just chugging away at not 200 mega hash, not 150 mega hash, but it's 7. A whole whopping 7 mega hash. I was like, wow, that's a unique problem. So I open it. I go into my console, logging into it, and it's got it all named, all weird. And I'm like, not how it was displaying, the hardware, the hashing boards. I'm like, oh man, the control board died. I'm like, great. So I'm troubleshooting this. And at this, because I knew that the DAG file wasn't 4 gigs, and I was never sure how they allocated the VRAM on these boards to know how they were being hit and how bad. So Ethereum Classic being at 3.56 gigabytes. I'm figuring these are like 4 gigabyte. Maybe a little bit less because of maybe some firmware allocation on the SoC chip, because these aren't graphics cards, and it's not like an ASIC quote unquote, because it's still virtualizing it in through the RAM. So unfortunately for Ethereum Classic, it looks like the E3 Antminers might be at end of life. If you guys have if you guys are running E3s and you're still able to hit it onto Ethereum Classic, make sure it's hashing properly, because it'll fire up for a moment for me and look fine. It'll start chugging at 200 mega hash and you just watch it decay right in front of you. You're like, oh my god. Just keep on refreshing the screen and you'll watch it kind of ramp up a little bit and then just decays down. At least that's been my experience and the experience of others being reported on this. So what did I do in response to that? So they're on Ethereum right now, and because I was testing, anytime I get into my little hardware testing mode, so Mikkel's like, well, the DAG file's too big on Ethereum Classic, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna put it on Ethereum. Let's see if it still works. So I fire up the one, starts hashing away normally. I'm like, huh, interesting. So I was like, I wonder if one of these other E3s are good enough to make one whole one together. So fingers crossed, and I was able to put another one together so that I can also test it out on Ethereum to make sure that there is no issues with it. It looks like there is about 17% memory left for Ethereum, so maybe a few more months, depends. And Ethereum mining on an E3 is going to be done. Does it mean it's the death of the E3 Antminer? Oh no. You're going to have Ubiq and Expanse. They're at just under 2 gigabytes, so plenty of life left on these. So these are basically the 4 gigabyte variants, which means that if you guys are mining with anything with a 4 gigabyte VRAM on it, on your graphics card, put it onto Ethereum Classic and see if it'll even try to mine on there. And either hop into the Discord and let me know directly. Type it in there what you're, go into the GPU section. Let me know either there or in the comments down below what your experience is mining on a 4 gigabyte card on Ethereum Classic. I actually am trying to do a little data collection. I do not have any 4 gigabyte variant graphics cards, unfortunately. I'm just like noticing that whenever I reset my green screen, it's a little off, and I just kind of glanced over and noticed it. But anyway, you will be able to use your E3 still, but just know that there's going to be, the influx of all the AMD and E3s coming over onto that side. The A10s that are from Innosilicon, they will be able to hit up on that Ethereum Classic and do some serious damage on there, I would say. Just because they're basically, I believe they're going to be really close to how Bitmain did it. They're just going to have updated memory modules and more of them. Hopefully they did it with like 16 gigabytes of memory in there. that would make them more usable for the long term. But don't get your hopes up on that. They might only put 8 gigabytes in there just to match what's out there today. This way that they can basically have the planned obsolescence of this, where they know there's going to be an end of life, and it's going to be, going on the smaller cap coins. I don't know. This might even be by somewhat design. The older hardware goes on to the less secure networks, because they become more profitable on there, because they can actually throw hash rate out on something. But you're going to be running into all the other older hardware coming on there too, and it's going to leave basically the new hardware for the more of the headlining coins on there, which is going to be Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, depending on if Ethereum Classic does its actual fork and they go to a SHA-3 algorithm. That would shake off all the ASICs off of them, and split them away from Ethereum, so that there is Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. So, but that's to see what's to come in the future for sure. So if you guys got any comments or questions like that, certainly drop them in the down below, or if you'd like to continue the conversation directly with me, hop in the Discord. I'm usually on there with my home dog, Crypto Mikkel. And while you're down there making comments or whatnot and looking for links, smash that Lizzie like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share this video with other people that you might know that are looking to get into mining. Certainly try to give out the best knowledge that I have to all of you guys out there, the at-home miners just like me. So with that, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.